Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Report, and I don't know about you, I am fired up for this freaking live show. Not only did Geno Smith just block me, and quite frankly, maybe the Raiders should put Geno Smith out on the offensive line because that way we know that somebody can finally freaking block somebody. But I wanted to be able to do this show, and I wanted to be able to talk to all of y'all today because Aiden O'Connell is finally active, and he's finally on this team. There's no more excuses for Geno Smith, for Pete Carroll to not go with the best quarterback on this team. Because I'll tell you this right now, okay? I don't think I have ever disliked a Raiders quarterback more in the time that I have done this show than Geno Smith. And after the blame it on me statement, the blame it on me statement by Geno Smith is literally everything that is wrong with this Pete Carroll-led Raiders team. And I'm just going to tell you all this right now. I am so sick and tired of Geno. I am so sick and tired of Pete Carroll. And I hope that Geno Smith stinks the bed. And I hope that Aiden O'Connell goes out there and he proves everybody wrong. And I hope that he proves Geno Smith wrong. Because I mean it when I say it. I can't stand you, Geno. I want no part of you. There's never been a Raiders quarterback that I have been more upset with. I hate Geno Smith more than Jimmy Garoppolo, more than Gardner Minshew. And when he runs out onto the field, week 12 against the Browns, I'm going to boo his ass. And I hope every single person, when they say Geno Smith over the intercom, boo his ass. I hope when Geno Smith runs out, boo him. I hope when Geno Smith does literally anything, boo him. You want to look at me and you want to tell me that you're going to blame me for all of your issues? No. Raider fans are blaming you, Geno Smith, because we're 2-8 right now. We're 31st in the NFL in points scored. You lead the NFL in interceptions, and then you're going to go up to the podium and you're going to call out Raider fans like that? F yourself, dude. And I mean it. Geno Smith can go F himself, and I hope that he ends up doing it. The sooner we move on from that clown show, the better off we're going to be as an organization. So, as you guys could tell, I'm here at the Chat Sports Studios. I'm going to be answering as many super chats, as many questions as I possibly can. And this is a new learning experience for me as well because I don't typically do shows like this. But when I saw the Aiden O'Connell news, I'm not kidding you. I got rock hard. That's how excited I was because I finally get to talk about a quarterback that I want to be able to talk about. I don't want to talk about Geno Smith anymore. If you don't want to be here, Geno, go somewhere else. I wanted you to write back to me, but you blocked me instead. Right back to me, Geno. Show me that you got some balls. Show me that you're a grown man and you could look me dead in the eyes and tell me what you were thinking. I am so fed up with Geno Smith. So coming up here on today's show, let's answer some questions. Let's talk about Aiden O'Connell here a little bit. And I already knew my guy, DeMokes, was going to be up here in the building. But all honesty, right? I got a question for you. And here's my question. My question is, would you start Aiden O'Connell as the Raiders quarterback against the Cleveland Browns? Let's do a little test here. Pete Carroll, I don't know if you've ever heard of YouTube. I know you're getting up there in age, but have you ever heard of YouTube? Because I guarantee you this, Raider Nation's going to tell you exactly what they feel. If you haven't voted at the live poll yet, go vote at the live poll because 64% of the people say Aiden O'Connell is better than Shedeur, Sanders, and Geno Smith. Geno Smith's got 7% of the votes up there. So you want to shout out on the program? If you want Aiden O'Connell to start, give me a yes, give me a no. The biggest reason why I want Aiden O'Connell to start for the Las Vegas Raiders, give me something to root for. I want to root for the Raiders. And right now where I'm at, it's so hard for me to root for Geno Smith after those comments. He has burned that bridge on me, and it's not going to happen. I'm the type of human being that I'm going to trust you. I'm going to root for you. I'm going to ride and die for you until you give me a reason not to. Geno Smith's blame it on me statement is a gigantic middle finger to me, and I think it's a gigantic middle finger to Raider Nation. And again, it is every single thing that is wrong with the Pete Carroll-led Raiders. You got a bunch of leaders that can't take accountability and point the finger literally everywhere else. I mean, the blame it on me statement is literally it's making me go insane because imagine thinking as a quarterback like Geno Smith, who's never done anything in his entire life for the Las Vegas Raiders. You got millions upon millions of dollars. You're here with a brand new organization, and people are going to poke at your game and people are going to look at your game because you're arguably the worst starting quarterback in the NFL? Of course. If you were doing everything possible, cupcakes, butterflies, and rainbows, and we were winning games, I wouldn't give a shit if your stat line is your stat line if we were winning games. But we're 2-8. You're the leader of this team. And instead of taking accountability and responsibility, you say, blame it on me. It's an absolutely, it's such a joke. And I'm just so done with Geno Smith. And I know a lot of other people are absolutely positively done with Geno Smith. So let's go to another question here before I blow a freaking gasket early on today's program. Got another super. It's coming in here from Rich Wolf. I don't want to get clapped by Cleveland, but if we do, I hope Mark fires that old man. We are a clown show, and it's not even funny anymore. I mean, when you watch the Raiders, you got to watch and you got to be able to laugh at what the hell you're seeing. And I simply say that because you do. You have to be able to sit up there and you got to be able to laugh at what this organization decides to do on a truly like weekly basis. And it is unbelievably positively frustrating, but I made a video and I don't want to give it away, Rich, but I made a video. You guys are probably going to get it either tonight or tomorrow. And I said the same thing because I know all the negative attention right now around Pete Carroll. And there's a lot of it right now in particular because the entire world got to see how pathetic the Pete Carroll Raiders are on Monday Night Football. You got to see how pathetic they were on Thursday Night Football. If you go lose to Shedeur Sanders, there's going to be more eyeballs on the Raiders this weekend than there has ever been before with the silver and black this entire season since coming to Las Vegas. And if you get another clunker, you get another stinker, I hope that they tell, again, I don't think that they're going to fire Pete. What I think is honestly going to happen is they're going to go, excuse me, sir, would you mind please stepping down? And I don't think it happens this season. I think if it does happen, it would be in the offseason. But I mean this, man. I remember I've been saying for a long time, it's not going to matter. Pete's going to be the guy next season. There's a lot of reports out there right now. There's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of speculation. I actually think right now there is a coin flips chance that Pete Carroll is not the Raiders head coach next season. Not saying he's not on the staff. They might ask him to kind of like demote himself and be somebody that, you know, is kind of like an advisor role. It's literally like what Seattle did. But at this point, I don't want Pete Carroll and I don't want the Pete Carroll-led Raiders because the Pete Carroll-led Raiders allows their leader, allows their captain, allows their quarterback, Geno Smith, to talk that way to Raider Nation, and they've been doing it all season long. Pete Carroll's throwing up middle fingers left and right to Raider Nation because if you're going to start Will Putnam at center and you're not going to start JPJ at center and your argument the offseason was, oh, we've worked so damn hard on it, the JPJ example is just one example of a middle finger that the Raiders are throwing. Start Kai Blue Kelly over Darian Porter. Go ahead, throw up another middle finger. Why do some guys have to earn their job and compete for their job, but not everybody on the team does? It's why I hate the Pete Carroll-led Raiders, because your guys don't make any sense. And allowing Geno Smith to talk to your fan base like that, I can't wait to hear how loud the boos are. I can't wait, because I'll tell you this, when I go live this week, Raiders, Browns, the moment I see Geno Smith on the field, boo! I'm going to boo him, and I'm going to keep booing him. And I hope all the Raider Nation boos him. Boo him, boo him, boo him. Let's go to Blue Yellow. What up, Blue? That's why I make the big bucks, says Geno. And that's the problem. It's not the first time that Geno Smith has given us a big old middle finger, and I guarantee you this, it's not going to be the last time. I want to be able, if you're at least going to put a 2-8 football team out on the field, and that's the product I got to watch, at least give me a product that I can root for. I don't want to root for Geno Smith. I don't want Geno Smith to be the quarterback of this team. There is nothing about Geno Smith that embodies commitment to excellence. There's nothing about Geno Smith that embodies what a Raider is. Because I'll tell you this, a Raider would never turn off his comments. A Raider would stand up there, eye to eye, man to man. You know where to find me, Geno. You know where to find me. And it's just, he hides behind this wall because he knows Pete Carroll, daddy, he's not going to do anything. He's a spoiled little brat that needs to be put in his place. And quite frankly, I wish Pete Carroll would put him in a corner, put his back up against the wall, because the last time I checked, Geno Smith said that he's better with his back against the wall. Well, can we put a wall out on the field? Can we put a wall at the 20-yard line? Can we put a wall inside of the red zone? Can we put a wall at midfield? Because as far as I'm concerned, unless Geno Smith, Can we put walls out on Allegiant Stadium? I don't know. I don't know if we can do it, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Let's go to Malachi. AOC is better, but not in the offense with this line. What's crazy is I actually don't know if Aiden O'Connell is a better quarterback. And I'll say it again. I don't think Aiden O'Connell is a better quarterback than Geno Smith. I don't think Aiden O'Connell is a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett, if I'm being 100% honest with y'all. Now, I think that you might be able to make an argument that AOC is well-liked, well-respected in this fan base. And because of that and that alone, like that's why I want to see Aiden. The only reason why I want to see Aiden O'Connell out on the field is because fans like him. I like him. He's easy to root for. And I want to be able to go out there and I want to be able to root for him. It's going to be really, really difficult for me to root for Geno. Now, obviously, if we go out there playing the Cleveland Browns, Geno Smith throws a touchdown to whoever, he runs a touchdown in, I'm going to root for that because I want the Raiders to win. I am not team tank, and I don't want the Raiders to tank. And I don't want the Raiders to tank for the simple fact of the biggest reason I want good players. I want good coaches to want to come play here. And we have so many holes right now on this team that we need good coaches. We need good players to want to come play here. So, like, there is a very, very difficult teeter-totter. But you know what would be great? If Aiden O'Connell, like, the number one reason why I think a Raider fan should want Aiden O'Connell to start, imagine if Aiden O'Connell goes out there and he starts and he's a lot better than Geno Smith. I think that that is a huge, huge thing that Mark Davis is going to look at. And again, how does Mark Davis think? He thinks with money. So you're telling me Mark Davis just gave, it's essentially like, when it comes out to it, it's $66 million guaranteed to a guy that's worse than a guy you already had on your team that you were paying $1 million to. Like, Aiden O'Connell starting and doing well for the Raiders is the biggest middle finger that you could send to Geno Smith, to Pete Carroll. And I think it's the loudest statement that we can make that's going to resonate with Mark Davis, because Mark's going to go, well, wait a minute. You guys wanted this guy for $66 million and I gave him all this money and he's bad and our fan base hates him. Yeah, that's where we're at right now, Mark. All right, let's go to It's Big Hurts. We're going to make Shedeur look like Brady on Sunday. I think this Raiders and Browns game is going to be one of the worst offensive displays of football that we have ever seen, because you're going to see the two worst offensive lines in the NFL. Tennessee's up there as well, going up against each other. I mean, Maxx Crosby and Myles Garrett might get more sacks than points scored in this game. And Shedeur, to me, doesn't scare me. He just doesn't. Like, from a talent standpoint, I think we just have to really be able to say Shedeur's top 50-ish quarterback in the NFL, and the Browns don't have a lot of talent, and I know they don't have a lot of talent. I know we don't have a lot of talent. He gets an extra week to be able to prep. I am hopeful that he goes out there and he gives us a good football game, because that's what I want to see. I want to see a good football game. I'm not going to root for Shedeur Sanders to fail. I'm going to root for the Raiders to play well. And I hope that Shedeur doesn't look like Brady. I would be really shocked if he looked like Brady. But you know what? Shedeur Sanders, 3-touchdown game. I hope that he flexes on Pete Carroll and he flexes on Geno Smith if he does it. But I'm not going to root for Shedeur. I'm going to root for the Raiders to kick their ass. And that's what I'm hoping that I ended up seeing. I hope the Raiders embarrass Shedeur, and I hope that they embarrass the Browns. And behind that offensive line, I'm telling you, there's a chance. Let's go to Blinky. What's going on, Blink? I don't expect him to start, but man, am I happy to know that he's back. Start Favre, Pete, been an effing leader. The other reason why I think that you got to start Aiden O'Connell over Geno Smith is because Aiden O'Connell is a leader. He is. And there is some serious shit going on right now in that locker room, and I'm not saying it's against Geno Smith. That's not what I'm saying at all. I am saying, based on the information that's given to me, I actually don't think Geno is disliked in the Raiders locker room. Again, that's based on the information given to me. But there is a frustration level of, again, not saying it's Geno, there's a frustration level of certain guys are treated different. And you know it, I know it, we see it week in, week out. And when you make it super public, like the way the whole handling of Caleb Rogers, the way they handled the JPJ situation, the way that the Jermaine Pratt situation was handled, all of these things that have happened, and I can't even believe I'm going to say it, it makes me wonder what happened with Christian Wilkins. And I know the Wilkins story that I was given, and it's a story that it's impossible to go public with. And I would never go public with the information that I was given from a simple lawsuit standpoint alone. But I also look at how much of a cluster and how the Raiders have handled this roster. And I do truly, truly wonder if that impacted Christian Wilkins at all, because Christian Wilkins, before he joined the Raiders, was a player that was loved, was respected. We were all fired up about it. And then, I mean, the information was true that he needed another surgery. And obviously that's been the case. He hasn't been out there on the field. But, like, I do wonder. I wonder if there's more to the Christian Wilkins story because of how much of a disaster this Pete Carroll-led Raiders team has been. Let's go to Raiders Sancho. You're next up here on the program. Here's what I'm doing today, guys. I'm live here at the Chat Sports Studios. I'm talking about Aiden O'Connell. He's finally active. He's finally going to be on the roster. Doesn't mean that he's going to start. Doesn't mean he's going to play. But I'm just happy that the Raiders did it. And I kind of knew that they were going to do it. I put out a video yesterday on the fact that, you know, they moved on from Chris Smith. Chris Smith, if I had to guess, is probably going to get placed on that practice squad. But there's at least now a chance that can be cranked up a little bit. And I know this, if Geno goes out there and he throws an interception, if Geno Smith goes out there and he struggles, I'm going to be telling everyone, AOC. I mean, I hope when AOC walks out onto that field, runs out on that field on Sunday, it's nothing but claps. I hope when Kenny Pickett runs out onto that field, nothing but claps and hurrahs. If Cam Miller, I don't even know, runs out on the field, claps and hurrahs. The moment Geno Smith steps foot on that field, I am booing his ass until my face turns blue. I'm booing his ass until my face turns blue. People could say what they want about Aiden O'Connell, but he is a leader, class act, and a real Raider. Give me a gosh darn leader of cola. I'll tell you right now, man, if they freaking start Aiden O'Connell, I'm chugging a gosh darn liter of cola before the game even starts. You mark it down right now. You know what? If somebody bangs right now, I think 2 liters is probably more than a boot, right? 36 ounces. If somebody bangs right now, and if Aiden O'Connell is a starter, I'm chugging a gosh darn 2-liter bottle of cola before that game gets started. I can't wait. Can't wait for it to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen. I have no idea if Aiden's ever going to start. But what I do know is this. I think Geno Smith is the most hated Raiders quarterback that I have ever seen since their time in Las Vegas. That's a hard thing to do. That's a nearly impossible thing to do. But Sancho, I don't disagree with you. He is a good leader. He is a class act. He's going to give fans something to root for. But I also think we have to be able to, roll with the punches here. Like, if you put Aiden O'Connell out there behind this offensive line, that's bad news. And I know there's some fans that are like, I want Cam Miller. I don't want Cam Miller to go out there behind this O-line. You're only going to stunt his growth. You're not going to help him develop as a young quarterback. So I think, like, for the Raiders, what you decide to do, again, if this was up to me, I'm going to play Aiden O'Connell, and I'm going to see what I got in him. I don't really know if I need to play Kenny Pickett because he's on that 1-year deal. And I really do think that, again, regarding something crazy, because here's the Raiders' options when it comes to Geno. I know I'm going on tangents here, but you can either cut him and eat $18 million, or you can pay him the $8 million, and he could just be your backup quarterback. Now, I think, again, Mark's going to think with the paycheck. I think this organization is going to think with the paycheck, paying a guy $18 million to not be on your team, or paying a guy $8 million to be on your team. I think Geno's still going to be on the team next season, but at least with Aiden O'Connell, then you at least know you have another option. And no matter what, you got to draft a QB. The problem, though, could be if some of the quarterbacks decide not to come out. But I'm rooting for AOC. And again, like, I feel like people are like, Mitch, you hate AOC. It's the same thing. People are like, Mitch, you hate Derek Carr. I call it how it is. If you think Aiden O'Connell is going to save this team and save the franchise, it's not a smart thing to say. If you think Aiden O'Connell gives us a better chance to win than Geno Smith, I actually don't know. I have no idea. But what I do know is this. Aiden O'Connell gives me a reason to root for the Raiders, and I want to be able to root for the Raiders. Let's go to Danny Strange. It would have been less of a clown show with Dion coaching this team and Shedeur as quarterback. What's crazy is I can't say you're wrong. I can't say you're wrong. I think that you could insert any name where you put Dion and insert any name where you put Shedeur, and I think that you could be right, because the Pete Carroll Raiders with Geno Smith, they are literally just as bad as the Raiders last season with Antonio Pierce, Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, and Luke Getsy. Like, they're both 2-8. The Raiders last season through 10 games were losing on average of 9.8 points per game. This season with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll, you're losing, guess how many? You're 2-8, and you're losing by an average of 9.8 points per game. It's for how good this coaching staff is supposed to be and where we are at. It's and I get people are like, Mitch, we can't just keep firing people. We can't just keep doing this over and over. Guys, I don't want to keep firing people. But give me a Y for yes and N for no. Okay? Do you trust who's going to be a 75-year-old head coach next season in Pete Carroll? Do you trust Pete Carroll to use the money that we have in salary cap right now, which we're top 3 in the NFL in salary cap? Do you trust Pete Carroll with that? Do you trust Pete Carroll with the ability to draft players? Because we drafted 11 guys last season. Pete doesn't want to play anybody. John wants to play them. Pete doesn't want to play them. Pete's getting to do what Pete wants to be able to do. So not only do you have somebody that I don't think anybody up here is going to go, I don't trust Pete Carroll to make trades. I don't trust Pete Carroll to make free agency moves. I don't trust Pete Carroll to do anything in the draft. Do you trust Pete Carroll to re-sign the proper guys on this team? Like, what if Pete wants to re-sign all of his old buddies again and they want to rerun it and we're not going to play any of our young guys? That's a problem. I think the other, again, biggest issue with when you decided to hire Pete Carroll, and a reason why I said the Pete Carroll hire, you can go look up the video. It's the riskiest hire the Raiders could do because you don't only have to get one job right, you got to get 2 right. So you want to try to build a team with a 75-year-old guy that's showing you that he's beyond cooked, who was a disaster in free agency trades, roster development, and from top to bottom, and you want to try to win with a guy that's 75 years old that you know can't be the future? I mean, again, like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I know like you might not want to move on from Pete Carroll. I didn't want to move on from a different head coach, but somebody give me one reason, and I need one reason. You give me one reason why it makes sense to keep Pete Carroll. Give me one reason. It's impossible. It is impossible to come up with one reason of why the Raiders should keep Pete Carroll. You can't give me it. You can't give me a single reason. This is the worst Raiders team that has been in Las Vegas from top to bottom. And I actually don't know if it's all that close. From a roster standpoint, from a talent roster put together standpoint, this is the worst team that's ever stepped foot in Allegiant Stadium that is called at home. You can't tell me otherwise. All right, let's go to Preston. What up, Preston? Mendoza, if opener, best offensive line prospect for first round of the draft. Could not agree more. You have 3 options if you're the Raiders. You have option A, draft a quarterback. I'm not saying that's the top option, but it's a option. Draft a quarterback, draft offensive line, trade back and get more picks. Those are your only options you have for the Raiders in my book. Because, again, like, you just want to talk about like the 2-8 Raiders. We know what the Pete Carroll Raiders are. The entire world is just starting to learn what the Pete Carroll Raiders are. But the Pete Carroll Raiders are an organization that drafts Ashton Genty at number 6 overall, does absolutely nothing all offseason to address the offensive line besides take away your best center, put him at another position, try to kill his confidence. You killed Caleb Rogers' confidence. You're killing Charles Grant's confidence. And the only thing that you did this offseason was sign Alex Kappa. Like that thought process alone is a fireable offense. That process alone is like, it almost makes me wonder if Pete Carroll has another agenda. Like, you know, like I hate to even bring it up, but you know, you see all this NBA stuff about Chauncey Billups this, Chauncey Billups that. What the Raiders are doing on a weekly basis and what Pete Carroll is doing on a weekly basis, and anybody that watches this show knows that I'm not a believer in the NFL is rigged. I don't believe in the NFL is fixed. But there is a part of me that wonders, like, with the decisions that Pete Carroll is making, is there something else that we just don't know about? And I don't think that there is, but I'm thinking that way because of what I've seen week in and week out. And this is an organization that just does nothing that makes any sense at all. Every week. And you got to laugh about it at this point. You got to laugh about it. Let's go to Benjamin. What up, Benjamin? Geno, the best option. O-line sucks. Pressure all day. The O-line does suck, and I'm not saying that the offensive line is good, but I think the other reason why you should entertain the idea of benching Geno Smith, because tell me if you agree with this, Benjamin. I believe that Pete Carroll cares more about Geno Smith and his guys doing well than the Raiders winning football games. And I say that because for Pete Carroll to tell everybody at the podium that him and Chip came up with the game plan to throw the ball 27 times and only run the ball 3 times with our running back. If the game plan is to get Ashton Jeanty 6 carries, if the game plan is to get Ashton Jeanty only 12 touches in a football game, it's a really, really bad game plan. And I wonder if you just put a Kenny Pickett at quarterback. I just wonder if you put a Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. If the concentration then goes from, I'm more concerned about making Geno Smith look good, because I want the concentration on to be what makes the Las Vegas Raiders the best, because nobody's above the shield. But I think to Pete Carroll, Geno Smith is above the shield. And I don't disagree with you that I think from a talent perspective, Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Aiden O'Connell. Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett. But at what point do we got to sit here and go, maybe if Aiden's the quarterback, like maybe they will go with a little bit more of a balanced attack. Maybe if Kenny Pickett's the quarterback, they will concentrate more on being able to get the football to Jeanty, to not have all eyes on Geno Smith. Because what I see right now is an organization that cares more about being right, that cares more about Geno Smith succeeding and Geno Smith putting up stats than actually trying to go out there and win a football game. Because you're not going to be able to win a football game when your quarterback turns the ball over, when you have this type of talent on offense and defense from top to bottom. And I get it. Running the football is not easy with this offensive line, but you should have an offensive coordinator, the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL, that should be able to come up with some creative ways to be able to get that running game going. The problem is he just can't create anything. So by benching Geno Smith, in my mind, if you bench Geno Smith, you're moving on from Pete Carroll. You're moving on from Chip Kelly. You're moving on from Brennan Carroll. I would sign up for that in a heartbeat. I said it before. I would do some sus-ass shit for a 500 Raiders team. I would do some sus-ass shit for Geno Smith, Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, and Brennan Carroll to pack it up and go literally anywhere else. I don't care. And again, I like Pete. I respect Pete. And I do. But right now, my gripe is with Geno Smith, and I do not like Geno. I have no respect for Geno Smith. And until Geno Smith starts showing respect to Raider Nation, if he gets benched, Geno, you can blame it on me. You can blame it on me, Geno. If you get benched, Geno Smith, blame it on me, because I'm going to cheer for everything I'm going to root for you to get benched. I'm going to tell Raider Nation to root for you to get benched. And if you get benched, blame it on me. Blame it on me. Steven, O-line is to be fixed or we're stuck in the suck. Yep. I mean, you know what would have been really cool, Steven, if there was like a fan base. I mean, even if there was like, I don't know, like a YouTube channel that put out videos every single day that said, we should probably upgrade our trenches and we should probably upgrade our offensive line before drafting Ashton Jeanty. Like, that'd be a crazy thing, right? Like, I mean, and that's, again, what's frustrating about the Pete Carroll Raiders and why I think Pete Carroll is a worse head coach for the Raiders than what Josh McDaniel was. And it's because he does that ignorant shit over and over again without showing you that he's going to be able to learn. And there's a lot of guys in that locker room that are there's a lot of Raiders players that are unhappy with the way that things are going, the way that things are being handled. And I actually don't think that we're too far away from a players-only meeting. I don't think that we're too far away from a few Raiders players going up to Mark Davis, going up to this organization, going into that front office and really truly telling them how bad it really is. I'm not going to tell you who the player was, but I made a video yesterday on Instagram, and the video on Instagram, let me see if I can find it here real quick so I get the exact one right. The video that I put out on IG yesterday it's the one that's got a picture of Geno, and it says, it's just so bad. The amount of, how do I say it without, I've gotten comments on that video. I had a Raiders player follow me after watching that video. I've had, let's just say this, that video resonated, I think, with a few guys. And for somebody on that Raiders team to watch that video and then give me a follow, I think tells me everything I need to know about Pete Carroll and this coaching staff. But you're right. The offensive line sucks, and it needs to be fixed. If only we knew that, though, going into the season, Steven. If only we knew that our offensive line wasn't very good. If only we knew that Alex Kappa was not going to be very good. If only we knew that JPJ should play center. If only we knew that it didn't make any sense to draft Ashton Genty at number 6 overall with this offensive line. I mean, but that's on us, right? We didn't know. We didn't know that that was the case. That's why you move on from Pete Carroll, because all the signs were there. Like, do we need to literally put a sign in front of Pete Carroll that says, hey, Pete, you need to upgrade your offensive line? And it's concerning because Pete is a legendary head coach, a well-loved head coach, a well-respected head coach. But what you're doing right now, Pete, you're ruining your legacy, and you're cooked, dude. You're taking the love out of the game for me. I will always love the Raiders, and I will always rock with Raider Nation. It's why I do what I do, and it's why I feel like I'm as passionate as what I am. It's why we are the number 1 most watched Raiders show in the world, because I feel like that we tell people how we feel. I'm asking you, please step down. I'm trying to say it in the nicest way possible, and I want Pete to step down, and I want you to bench Geno Smith's ass. There's a difference there in how you say those things. I respect Pete Carroll. I have no respect for Geno Smith. And I respectfully want Geno Smith to get benched, and I don't want him on the team anymore. And at the same breath, I just want Pete Carroll to step down. Don't make me say fire Pete Carroll. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. Said I wouldn't do it. But here we are. Lamont, new OC, new quarterback next year, can only have one. Oh, my God. You tell me to jump on the grenade, Lamont. All right, how about this? What would you guys pick? New offensive coordinator or a new quarterback? Let me know down below. Oh, dude, I mean, what's actually crazy, and the reason why I'm probably going to say a new OC is because I do really think that Chip Kelly is a major, major issue. And to me, if we bring in a new offensive coordinator, maybe it's Mike McDaniel, maybe it's a Brian Dable. If you're going to bring in a new offensive coordinator, that new offensive coordinator to me says that we're going to go out and we're going to draft a quarterback. And that new OC has the chance to be the next head coach because, there is the new quarterback next season, and people are probably surprised that I'm not going with that option. But to me, we can hire a new OC. We can draft a quarterback, and you can kind of go with the Giants route where you could start Geno week 1. You can also bench him in week 2, right? So I think it's a lot easier to make the switch at quarterback than it is offensive coordinator as the season's rolling. So because of that, I'm going to pick a new OC. I'm going to move on from Chip. I'm still going to draft a quarterback. You could start Geno week 1. You can bench his ass. Aiden O'Connell out there on the practice field. Oh, looks good. Looks good. Feels good. What do we got here? I'm looking right now at some of the chats. I see OC from Rio. New quarterback will fail with the offensive line. I agree with that. Amen from Nada. Good point from one. Fire Pete Carroll from Azul. OC from Steph. Love it, love it, love it. Reminder, if you guys are trying to get your questions, your comments here on today's show, I know it's a little different style from what I've done in the past, but we got almost 1,000 people here in the building. If you haven't already, make sure you click that like button. It does help us out a lot. And if this is a show that you like to see, a new style of a show that you like to see, at the end of the day, I like talking Raiders. There's not a person on this planet that I think does it better than I do. And it's not a shot at anybody. It's just my confidence level in my ability to talk about this football team. But if I can find new ways to give you guys new content, new entertainment that you're looking for, that you want, let's do it. And if these are shows that you like, I would love to be able to do more of them. So the way that you tell my bosses, hit that like button. Seriously, there's nothing more important that you guys could do today than hit that like button. All right, let's go to Darian. I love the Raiders report. Mitch for GM. Kai Blue Kelly currently has the triple crown, giving up the most yards, touchdowns, and receptions amongst all quarterbacks. But to Pete, he's doing a good job. He's competing out there really hard, and he deserves to start over Darian Porter. Again, if you're just going to pick your favorites, that's fine. Just pick your favorites. I'd rather you tell me. I'd rather the Raiders and Pete Carroll tell me who their favorites are. But if you would have told me, I would have had to deal with high school bullshit, high school, I don't know what the right word is, high school drama, high school. It just reminds me when you got a head coach and he's playing his kid because he's his kid. And everyone in the world knows, man, that guy probably shouldn't be playing, and he's only playing him because he's his kid. Like that's how I feel watching the Raiders right now. That's how I feel watching the Pete Carroll Raiders. It's high school drama, politics, high school politics of I'm going to play my son over your son. I'm going to play this kid because I'm friends with that dad instead of that dad. I can't believe how poorly run this organization is. But you know what, Darian? I would love the opportunity to work for this team. I know for a fact that if I was hired, we would do better in terms of just overall scouting. I'm not an X's and O's guy. That's why I don't do it because, again, there's different levels, right? Like I played professional baseball. I did professional, we'll air quote it. And I wouldn't be able to coach baseball, but I could play baseball. And there's a certain lingo of everything that ends up happening. And if somebody sat down with me right now and talked baseball with me, I'd easily be able to tell whether or not you played. And there's a respect level. Because I never played football, I wouldn't get the respect from a lot of those players in that room as a coach. And with me doing what I have done in my career, no way anybody would respect me as a GM or a head coach. I would say as a player. But if you put me as a scout, you put me as an analyst of some sort that can just, again, evaluate talent and just look at the Raiders roster and give my opinion, because my opinion on the Raiders roster this year, again, I'd say outside of Geno Smith has been spot on. And I know it's been spot on. You guys know it's been spot on. I also know this, though, there's a reason why people rock with us every single day on this show. And I don't love saying that I feel like I'm smarter than this coaching staff when it comes to the personnel decisions that they make on a daily, weekly basis. But, I know I'm not the only one that feels like I know this team better than our staff. And that just shouldn't happen. Can't be the case. Shouldn't be the case. But yet it is the case. Head coach Clint Kubiak, OC Brian Dable, John Mateer in the draft, pay a king's ransom and free agency on the offensive line. I do think that we need to pay a king's ransom on that offensive line. To me, if I'm going to invest picks or if I'm going to invest money this offseason, it's on the defensive tackle spot and it's at the offensive line. I mean, to me, those are your spots where you're going to be spending money. And you have to replace Wilkins, and you got to be able to replace a Dylan Parham, and you got to be able to replace, I don't want to say another starting offensive lineman, because I do wonder if it's just going to be the Caleb Rogers, Charles Grant show. Maybe they decide to kick in DJ Glaze. We'll see what happens with JPJ. But you gotta invest in your trenches. The only reason why I don't think what you have down there is going to happen is it is Clint. Sorry. I read Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not going to lie. Clint Kubiak, head coach, I would love it. I just think he's going to end up going to the Jets. And if you had a guy like Clint, he's going to want to call his plays. Dable did a really good job developing Josh Allen. So if we went out and drafted a quarterback, I would like that idea. Mateer's another very intriguing prospect to me because of how good he looked at the beginning of the season and how he looks now. Again, very, very different. Very, very different. Let's go to Mike. Raiders suck. You know what's the problem, Mike? We are a bad football team. So you know who also sucks? Bo Nix. Bo Nix stinks. Tired of Geno Smith. He's got seasons playing, but no results. I'm just tired of Geno. I'm honestly more tired of Geno Smith's mouth and mentality and attitude than I am of his play. Actually, that's not true. Take that back. That's not true at all. I'm definitely more upset with his play than his attitude. But when you add 2 and 2 together, it's why we're at the point where we are at. You know what I mean? And it's I wanted Geno Smith the leader. I wanted Geno Smith the quarterback that I saw on tape. And I feel like I got the Geno Smith that got his jaw punched in when he was with the New York Jets. And I'm really starting to see why he got his mouth punched in. If you don't know that story, look it up. Geno Smith was talking in the locker room and quickly got shut up. And I see why now. I see why, though. If anybody hits Geno Smith in the mouth, blame it on me. Blame it on me. Let's go to Ryan. Mitch, I hear you saying you hope Pete steps down, but why do that and not get paid when getting fired pays him out? Am I missing something? No, I mean, again, I want him to step down because I don't want to have to pay him all that extra money. And I don't want to have to do that. Now, you're right. If he gets fired, he's going to get that extra money. And that's probably why he would never do it. But at the same time, I think Pete is somebody that cares about his legacy. I think Pete Carroll is somebody that is well-liked and well-received. And if I know Mark the way that I think I know Mark Davis, even if he steps down, he probably still would pay him. You know, Mark, people could say a lot of things about Mark. Obviously, he's not the best NFL owner, but Mark is a great human being. He's got a great heart. He loves people. He respects people. He's super, super nice guy. And you can't say that he's not. Like, again, you can hate Mark Davis for all the football stuff, but Mark Davis to me is a very, very, very respectable man. And I think even if Pete stepped down, that he would still pay him. Maybe not give him the whole thing, but I still think that he would pay him, in all honesty. What up, Drake? How do you draft a quarterback or O-line for your first round? Because for me, it would be O-line. You know, I said this the other day on a show. It was probably like 2 weeks ago. And I forget who tweeted it out. And I saw the tweet, and I was like, I could not agree with the tweet more than what I just saw. There's a part of me where you look at that 2014 Reggie McKenzie draft where they went, you know, Khalil Mack, Derek Carr. And I think that that's kind of the route that if you're the Raiders, you got to go. We have so many holes on this team that you got to go like biggest need, best player available with that first pick. And as much as I think quarterback should be that pick, if it's Mendoza, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to take Mendoza if he's there. If it's Mendoza, I'm going to take Mendoza because quarterbacks can change a franchise. They absolutely can. If Mendoza is not there, that's where I start to look at who's the best player available. What's my biggest need? It's offensive line. And then if there's another quarterback in round 2, I don't know, maybe like a Mateer or something like that. I got to do more tape. I got to watch more. That's a better recipe for success. And then Geno's probably going to be the starter. And if Geno struggles, then you put in the rook. That's honestly how I would handle the situation. Let's go to the real honest Raider. There's no reason to fire Pete. No coach in the history of coaching could win with this talentless team. GMs are in charge of bringing talent in. Failed GM. I mean, I don't know if this is a Pete Carroll burner. And real honest Raider, I thought you would watch this show. Maybe you don't. Again, it's Pete Carroll calling the shots. And I know that you're saying, you know, GM and Spytech does need to do better, but the GM and the front office wants to play their young guys. Pete Carroll's the reason why they're not. You look at a lot of the moves that the Raiders made this offseason, there's a lot of Pete Carroll moves that are in what the Raiders decided to do. And I don't totally disagree with you that it would be really hard for a lot of teams to be able to win with this roster, but also at the same time, it's literally the roster that Pete Carroll put together. So, you know, like he traded for Geno Smith. He got what he wanted. Like there's not many head coaches that get everything they want like Pete Carroll is getting. The Tyler Lockett signing, that's on Pete Carroll. The Amari Cooper signing, that was for Pete Carroll. I get the Stone Forsythe, Pete Carroll. I could go down a laundry list of things that were Pete Carroll. And the reason why you fire Pete is because of how much worse this team has gotten. Like our young players aren't developing the correct way. Our old players look worse than they ever have. I mean, I challenge somebody out there to tell me one player that you think is better this season with Pete Carroll than last season. Maybe Trey Tucker. Who else? I challenge you. Name another player, the real honest Raider fan. If you're going to be honest with me, I'm going to be honest with you. Give me one player, not named Trey Tucker, that you believe has improved this season underneath Pete Carroll. Go. You can't do it. You can't do it. You know why? Because he's not a good coach. And he's not. Like, he's not a good coach right now. And he's a legendary coach. He'll go down in the NFL history books. But I agree with you that GMs are in charge of bringing talent in. The problem is, though, Pete's doing exactly what he did in Seattle. And sometimes, you know, people got to learn from their past mistakes. Josh McDaniel didn't learn from his past mistakes, and it looks like Pete's not learning from his. So the reason why Seattle didn't fire Pete, they asked him to step down, they put him in an advisor role, was because he wanted to be the one calling the shots. And people were like, dude, what he's talking about right now is insane. So you look at the way the Raiders are right now, 2-8. Pete Carroll's calling a lot of the shots. And you look at the Seattle Seahawks. That's one of the best teams in the NFL. Schneider calling the shots. Their GM calling the shots. Eric Stokes is a great answer. Eric Stokes is a good signing, but that's not somebody that, again, Eric Stokes, you could say Eric Stokes improved. I guess I was saying it more from like a player who we didn't have last season, who we have now. But like, Pete's thing was supposed to be DBs. Kai Blue Kelly, Christ. Darian Porter, can't even put him out there on the field. But that Darian Porter deserves to be out there on the field, right? They're not playing DeCamerion Richardson. I'm not saying they should, but if you're playing Kai Blue Kelly over those two guys, like that concerns me of our coach's ability to be able to develop talent. You look at Lonnie Johnson Jr., Isaiah Paul-Lamau, like all these safeties, like they look awful and out of place. The Raiders are bad because of Pete Carroll. And there's nobody to blame more than Pete Carroll. People will say Mark. You can say Mark, he's the owner. But there is nobody to blame more for the Raiders' struggles this season than Pete Carroll. Can't tell me otherwise. Can't tell me otherwise. Oh, boy. Let's go to, what up, Jeff? Dude, I'm with you, bro. Geno sucks ass. When he was here in Seattle, he never got to come play because he sucked behind Russell Wilson. Love your intensity, man. Wish you had a podcast here for us in Seattle. We have a Seahawks show. It's got probably about 70,000 subscribers today. I'm a Seahawks fan, but I was really just talking to Will the other day. I just put the link for you there, Jeff. If you're still here, go check it out. He pumps out videos just like I do. He's a little bit more laid back than me. When I say a little, I mean a lot. But I've also been doing this a lot more, and quite frankly, I feel very at home, very at peace. I'm not saying that he doesn't on YouTube, but there's not many people that have made more YouTube videos than I have over the last 8 years. I'll tell you that. Rich, Pete is a San Francisco boy. Spite for the Raiders. I don't think that he's got spite for him, and I really hope that he doesn't. But the way that he coaches, the way that he runs this roster, it wouldn't shock me if we were to come out, like I said, in a few years from now, and they're like, Pete Carroll was running the illegal gambling ring with Chauncey Billups betting against the Raiders. Again, I don't think Pete's doing it, but the way Pete's been coaching and the personnel decisions that this team makes on a weekly basis and their inability to develop talent, I can't say that it hasn't crossed my mind. You know what I mean? If you see a shooting star, it's like if you see a shooting star, there's a part of you like, was that an alien? That's how I feel. Pete and his son are trash, but draft for the trenches, no quarterback in 2026. We need a quarterback. You got to draft a QB, and I will not deal with it. We got to be able to draft a quarterback. I think you got to be able to put some pressure underneath Geno. Got to be able to just give this fan base something to hope for, but we definitely need to build the trenches. We have to build the trenches. Have to. It's so hard to win when you're this bad in the trenches. If I'm the Raiders GM, I'm trading Maxx for a couple firsts, and I'm building the O-line. It's sad to say this, but this is a conversation that needs to happen because, do it with me right now. I did it today at Chat Sports. Tell me where you disagree. How many starters do you think that we need? Right? Like, how many starters do you think this Raiders team needs next season? Because I'll start it right here. I think we need a starting quarterback. That's one. I think we need a starting new number one wide receiver. That's two. I think we need, let's just say, 2 starting offensive linemen. Is that fair? 2 starting offensive linemen. So that's going to put us right now at 4, right? 2 starting offensive linemen, quarterback, wide receiver. We're at 4. 4. Then let's go defensive end. Got to be able to replace Malcolm. Got to be able to replace Christian Wilkins. That's 7 starters. Linebacker. I think at minimum we need 1, maybe 2 linebackers. But let's just say 1. That's 8. I think minimum we're going to need a corner because we're going to have to replace Stokes. Do we have to replace a nickel? I think we might have to replace a nickel. What about safety? I think we're going to need a starting safety. That's 3 positions there. Like I actually think that the Raiders need 10 to 11 starters next season. And when you're a team that needs that many starters, that needs this much depth, I don't want to trade Maxx Crosby. Nobody wants to trade Maxx Crosby. But if the conversation of trading Maxx upsets you, blame it on me. Blame it on me. Like, it's, again, I don't want to trade Maxx, but the number one player that will get us the most draft picks as humanly possible is Maxx. And I know Maxx doesn't want to be dealt. I know that y'all don't want to deal Maxx. But if we did true rebuild, and I mean a true rebuild, Maxx has got to be a guy that you talk about. I would want 3 first-round picks, and that's what the Raiders asked for. Anthony Davis isn't going to get traded, in case anybody cared. No. What's funny is the Mavericks. I don't know if y'all saw that Nico Harrison blamed Mark Cuban for his downfall. It's pretty funny. All right, let's go to Stabler again. Before you say no, Mitch, remember what you always say: no players above the shield. I got you, Stabler. And I mean, you guys know, like, Maxx is my guy. Like, I got so much love for Maxx. I know the Crosby family. I love the Crosby family. They've shown nothing but love to me. And, you know, there's a lot of players that I know have my back. And I'm not saying Maxx, I don't think Maxx should ever have to admit whether or not he has my back or not. I wouldn't even want him to, because I wouldn't want players or his own organization to get mad at him. But, like, I know which guys got my back. I think there's certain players that know I got their back. And just the way that it is. It's the way that it is. Jordan, what's going on, bro? Thank you so much for the donation. Again, really, really appreciate it. Let's go to Joseph. I should say this. I have to get out of here in about 20 minutes from now. I actually have a doctor's appointment. I'm fine. Just, you know, my checkup. And I just try to go every 6 months. And I try to go every 6 months because, you know, obviously we do a lot of crazy stuff on the show. I often put my body on the line, and I just always want to make sure that my body's running at the way that it should be. I feel good, but I got a doctor's appointment. So, Joseph, trade your next 4 first-round picks for Burrow. Spend all your money on the O-line. Draft just defensive needs. Burrow will attract players to come. It's just they would never do it. Like, I think for you to get Joe Burrow, you'd have to give up 10 first-round picks, Maxx Crosby, Brock Bowers, JPJ, and Ashton Genty, and I still think they say no. Like, it's like there's just certain players that, like, and I like the creativity. I respect the creativity, but the Bengals are never going to trade Joe Burrow. The Bills are never going to trade Josh Allen. The Chiefs are never going to trade Patrick Mahomes. And if there were to ever be a bidding war, 4 first-round picks is not even close to what it would be for Joe. I think if the Bengals put Joe Burrow out on the open market, I think you are looking at, again, like Maxx Crosby, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, and then maybe 4 first-round picks, a couple second. Like, if you gave the Bengals all of your picks in the next 3 drafts, plus Maxx Crosby, JPJ, Brock Bowers, and Ashton Genty for Joe Burrow, I don't know if they would do it. Like, and at that point, you're like, I don't even think why would we do it, right? Like, we couldn't even do it then. We got Jeff again. Dude, do me a favor. Give my cousin a big shout out. His name is Buddy. Is it Buddy Bear? We always joke between us about his Raiders and my Seahawks. Shout out to Buddy. Is he an elf? You got to give me more than a name than Buddy. If his actual legal birth name is Buddy, wild. Wild, wild, wild. We got Truth Bomb. Are you worried on Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll stunning the growth of our players and rookies? Every day. Every single day. And that's another reason why you got to move on from Pete, because you can just tell that the growth from our young players has not been there. And when you have the staff that we have, you know, like, that's not an excuse. Like, you can't hire a 74-year-old head coach who's supposed to be a guy that develops talent and has done a horrific job at being able to develop talent, right? Like, so you got that on top of the fact of, like, I just don't want to waste free agency, and I don't want to waste our draft. And every year that you let Pete Carroll hang around, I think there's a better chance Maxx Crosby leaves. Because the longer and longer you let Pete here, we're not going to go in the right direction. And I just don't think that you can tell me that we are going to go in the right direction. You can't convince me that Pete Carroll is going to get the Raiders in the right direction. Prove me wrong. And God, please, I hope that he does prove me wrong. Nothing would make me happier. Nothing would make me happier than Geno Smith proved me wrong. Nothing would make me happier than this offensive line proved me wrong. But you know what the problem is? feel like we're right a lot more than what we're wrong. Would you trade for Vikings coach? He should be fired. Kevin O'Connell? Kevin O'Connell ain't going to get fired. The only coach that we got a shot at getting is Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for Minnesota. And I love Brian Flores. I talked about him today in a video that I put out for my Pete Carroll replacements. Kevin O'Connell's not going anywhere, though. That I can promise you. Jordan, as a former D1 player myself, I legitimately feel like I could put a better roster together. And that's not me trying to brag, but just shows how incompetent this franchise has been since 2003. It's a franchise that doesn't know their players, doesn't know their team, doesn't know their roster, doesn't know their coach as well. And I get it. Like, that's going to happen when you have a lot of turnover. And, I mean, let's face it, the Raiders have had a lot of turnover, no doubt about it. But I don't disagree with you, dude. I would trust anybody in this chat right now. Maybe not anybody. I trust a lot of people in this chat, though, to do what's right. Quarterback like Mendoza will attract good coaches and players. Yep, you're right. There's a problem, though. We got to hire coaches before we draft Mendoza, so it's the draft is in April. We're not going to hire a coach in April. So I hear what you're saying, and I think if we had Mendoza, it would be maybe a 2027 plan, which is when I think the Raiders' plan is all along, to try to compete. John Rodriguez, Mitch, why are you live? Aiden O'Connell, active. Shedeur Sanders, starting against the Browns. Nico, couldn't get it from 6 to midnight last night. Told my wife it was Geno's fault. Oh, dude. This might turn to my new favorite bit. Give me something that's Geno's fault. We all want AOC, but zero chance he's going to play. I don't disagree with you. I think it's hard to even think that he's going to play. But that's this regime. I would love to see AOC out there. I'm about the team, no player, trade Maxx if we have to. I agree with you. Like, if we have to trade Maxx, if a team offered us 3 first-round picks, and that was the difference between whether or not, we could get a Mendoza, you got to entertain the idea. Like, again, as much as I love Maxx, the worst thing that you can possibly do is have a player like Maxx Crosby and not be able to do anything with him. And, we've seen year after year after year, as amazing as what Maxx is, doesn't translate to wins. So if trading Maxx away gets us 3 first, and those picks can be used like a quarterback and 2 guys. I mean, imagine if, again, you traded those picks and that turned into a starting caliber defensive tackle, starting caliber offensive lineman, and your brand new quarterback, right? I mean, everybody here, I think, would make that trade. Maybe that's not true, but I think it's a smart trade. If you took away his name and you didn't say it was Maxx, and I told you, hey, what if I told you you could get a starting defensive tackle, a starting offensive lineman, and a starting quarterback, all first-round talent-level players, would you do it? I think everybody here would say yes. And then you look behind door number 2, and door number 2 says the only way that happens is if you trade away Maxx. Let's go to Arctic. Just got off of work. What did I miss? How we doing? Geno Smith, can't stand him. One is asked to be benched after the blame it on me statement. Aiden O'Connell at practice today, officially activated. So we got 53 players on our roster. Also, Joe Burrow, full participant today. Joe Burrow's still on IR, but he got full practice reps in today. That's kind of interesting. The other part of it is, I don't know if I said Aiden O'Connell, he's back at practice. What up, June? Thanks for the Seattle podcast. Got it. Just subscribe to it. Hope them dudes are just as good as you. Respect. I mean, I think people that appreciate Chat Sports appreciate it because every host is a little bit different. Every person's a little bit different. If you love football, I think our new guy, his name's Ortner. His name's Will. He was a D2 offensive lineman. And if you want to like when you listen to an offensive lineman talk about the O-line, you're like, again, it's just a different level. I played baseball. If I talked to y'all about pitching and talked about 2-seam sliders, trying to get down on a ball, rotating your wrist on a circle change, trying to stay on top of it, make sure you pull your glove in, make sure when you drive your leg, your back leg's got to be able to drive as well. Like there's certain little things that you can hear that lingo and you're like, all right, yeah, like that makes sense. Get your top hand down on the ball, right, for a hitter. When you listen to a guy that's played offensive line talk about the offensive line. And right now, the Seattle is a team that does a great job in the trenches. He's a great, great listen. And you could tell that he played college football. And that's why he's crushing it. Darian, who has at least 2 first-round picks next year that we could get for Max? I would want 3 first, but at least 2 next year. There's actually a few teams that have multiple first-round picks. I don't remember. I know the Jets do. So the Jets, multiple first-round picks. The Cleveland Browns, multiple first-round picks. Dallas Cowboys, multiple first-round picks. Right? Yeah. So Cowboys, Browns, and the Rams. Rams is interesting. I mean, if you were to tell me all those teams that I would look at, I mean, obviously I would rather Cleveland, but Dallas is interesting because they were a team that called for Max. The Rams, I don't know if the Rams did, but those are your teams. The Rams, Browns, Cowboys, all have 2 first-round picks, and the Jets, all have 2 first-round picks. No, actually, the Jets don't have the extra first-round pick this year. They have the extra first-round pick next year. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, it's not right. 2 first-round picks. Jets, Cowboys, Browns, Rams. Jets, Cowboys, Browns, Rams. Yeah, there you go. There you go. JoJo, bring back Jack Del Rio and Rich Bisaccia. I mean, as much as I got love for Rich and as much as I got love for Jack, I want a new, young, innovative head coach. Give me a guy on defense like a Jesse Minter. Give me a guy like Shula from the Rams. Give me a guy like Clint Kubiak. Give me a guy like that. I want a young, innovative head coach because when you look around the NFL, the teams that are doing really good, young, innovative head coaches. Obviously, there's some outliers, but good, innovative head coaches, man, it can help. Doc, the blame it on me if your car breaks down was the most immature thing I've ever seen for a quarterback his age. He's no leader of men. Doc, I agree with you, man. You know, and it's the most frustrating part about that whole thing to me was just reminds me of a spoiled little brat that knows his daddy's going to take care of him, and he can go nanny, nanny, boo-boo, whatever the hell it is, boo-boo-boo, sticks his tongue out at us because he knows that Pete's going to protect him. And the Pete Carroll Raiders are that Geno Smith press conference. It's a big middle finger to Raider Nation. It's you thinking that you're just better than everybody else. And I get that you're an NFL quarterback, and you know there's nothing wrong with me as a fan to like go look at the tape and go see what you did right, what you did wrong. Like I can't help that you just put a lot of bad tape out there and people poke at it and people talk about it. Like, so I just didn't respect the way Geno handled it. Because I felt like it was a big F you to Raider Nation instead of, again, looking himself in the mirror and being like, you know, I shouldn't get mad at Raiders fans and I shouldn't get mad at people that are just doing their job, right? Like, I'm just doing my job talking about the Raiders. I don't want to sit up here and bash Geno Smith. I want to sit up here and praise the guy, which is what I did all off season long. But for Geno Smith to say what he did, to blame it on me, for him to block me on social media, like, and again, like I don't blame him for blocking me because he's probably going to block out the negativity. And when you talk about Geno Smith, there's nothing but negativity. But man to man, like, bro, I was riding with you all off season. I had your back, and now you don't want to ride with me because you're playing really bad football. I mean, it's laughable. It's cowardly. It's laughable. And there's a reason why Geno Smith turns his comments off because he doesn't have thick skin. And, you know, for a quarterback to be this weakly minded and to have this, you know, I guess thin of skin and to just, he should never have been the quarterback to begin with because I know how Raider Nation is. I know this fan base. I'm a part of this fan base every day. You got to have thick skin to be the Raiders quarterback. And if I've learned anything from Geno Smith this season, besides maybe the fact that he's colorblind, he loves to throw it to the other team, it's that dude doesn't have thick skin. Dude's a bad leader. And I can't wait for him to not be here anymore. I'll tell you that. Can't wait. Can't wait. Let's go to TJ. Ended up in HR because Geno sucks. After losing, I said F off to everyone at work by 9 a.m. I said F off 9,000 times. Blame it on Geno. If you end up at HR, if you get fired from your job, blame it on Geno. John, Mitch, if I'm Geno and I was stealing money for free, I would say the same thing and really not care because I'm stealing millions. I mean, that's, again, Geno Smith up there being like, that's why they pay me the big bucks. Again, Geno, if you want to flex that you're a millionaire, good. And that's honestly probably what you should flex because you can't flex your football game. But again, maybe Geno Smith should play offensive line because at least he proved that he can block people. He looks like he's been blocking people left and right. So maybe you should put him at offensive line. Let's go to, I got 2 more super chats. And then once all the super chats are done, I will hop on out of here again. I got to get out of here soonish only because I got a doctor's appointment and Alex is picking me up. And if I make her wait a second, she's going to kick my ass. But I guess I could just blame it on Geno. Oh, my God. Would absolutely love to have Max as a Seahawk. Jeff is like Jeff, and Buddy is a guy, William. I remember the Jeff is like Jeff. I will say this. I think if Max honestly were to ever get dealt, Cowboys are going to be a team that you got to look at. I think a lot of people always point to the Lions because that's the area he's from. I'll say San Francisco, I think, is a team. Again, I know Max has got a lot of love and respect for Kyle Shanahan. But I would say the 49ers are a team, whether we like to admit it or not. I think a team like the Rams would be a team. The Cowboys would be a team. It would be a team like Buffalo. I think it would be a team that's like, we got to get over the hump. How do we get over the hump? Here's how we get over the hump. Go on and get Maxx Crosby. And for a team that also believes in their ability to give up first-round picks and still win. Like San Francisco believes that, they're good enough to be able to win with anybody because they have a good coaching staff. The Rams feel like they can win with anybody because they got a good coaching staff. So certain coaching staffs don't value draft picks as much as others because they just feel like, hey, again, look at what the 49ers have done. Like, if Kyle Shanahan was the coach of the Raiders, we'd be a 500 team. I actually think that. I think we'd be a 500 team if Kyle Shanahan was the coach of this team. What's up, Kel? Do you think the Jets have enough capital to trade for Mahomes? Saw a report about it. Nope. Dude, don't send Geno back to us. I wish we could. I think he actually sent that in twice. Sent it in twice. So, to my knowledge, we are all caught up on all of the super chats here. I wanted to be able to go live. I wanted to be able to talk to you all about Aiden O'Connell being active, and he is finally on the active roster. He practiced today, which is a very good sign. I would imagine the Raiders are going to be dropping their injury report here somewhat soon. I would love to be able to stay here until that ends up happening, but I got a doctor's appointment, and I unfortunately have to go to that, and I got to get on out of here. But seriously, I mean this when I say this. I apologize early on if I started, going crazy and rallied up. I get myself too riled up, but I get riled up because I'm a passionate person, and I care a lot about the Raiders, and I care a lot about Raider Nation. So to see Geno Smith's comments, it felt like a personal attack, and that's just how I felt, man. I felt like it was a personal attack. So the next time y'all are going to see me live tomorrow, Thursday Night Football, can't wait. I'm going to be drinking Modelo. That's what the Weldinator wants, and what the Weldinator wants anymore, the Weldinator is going to get. So tomorrow I will be live. Bills Texans. We get to root on, Jeremy Juggs' team. I'm going to be rooting for Houston tomorrow, no doubt about it. And I think tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. So I appreciate all y'all. Before you get out of here, please hit that like button. And the only reason why that I say that, and I know that some of y'all get upset, and I'm not going to blame anybody out there, right? I know we talk about super chats. I know we ask for subs. I know we ask for likes. I know we ask for comments. I ask a lot. But I ask a lot because, in my friend group, my family, the way that I've been brought up is you should never be afraid to ask for anything. Because if you don't ask, you don't know. And, if you don't want it, you don't have to do it. But I'm always going to ask because I feel like we've been able to build that relationship through the years and years of doing this show. And I'm always going to ask it. But the reason why I'm telling you to hit that like button is because my bosses are going to look at this video. And it's a little bit different of a show, right? I don't have a producer. I don't have Chugs here. This is literally just me. Mano y mano, you and I. That's all it is. And if you want to see more shows like this, hitting that like button, showing the fact that people watched, is an easy way for me to be like, hey, guys, this is what I want to be able to do. So if you appreciate today's show, hope you share it. Hope you put it out there in the universe. And if anything happens to you today, blame it on Geno Smith. And if Geno Smith gets benched for Aiden O'Connell, guess what, Geno? You, and I hope that you do, I hope you blame me. And I would hope that you write me back, because I've been waiting for you to write back all season long. Peace out, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your night. And I will be live tomorrow, an hour before kickoff on Thursday Night Football.